How you going, people? Well, I found this little gun. It came with this case. But that's alright. It's a nice little case. And it comes with this funky little key that I've got so damn many of them because somehow government thinks if they require every damn gun to have a key, then people will be safe. Because government's a damn idiot. But I digress. So let's I bought this Glock and I already have a let me see if I got this right in line here. I've already got a Glock 30 and I've had one, but trying to focus that in just a little bit there. So this is mine. You notice it's got the rounded piece instead of that point there. See that point? This one's rounded. So I'm going to go ahead and round this one off because I just don't like those points on my Glocks. So this one is unloaded because I just brought it back. This one's loaded because it's mine. I keep it loaded. Most all my guns are loaded. So I'm going to show you, and I mean if you look at these two, there's not a lot of difference in them. This was on, I got it for $3.50. They wanted $4. I said no, it's missing a rear pin. This pin right here that holds the trigger down is missing. That's okay. I picked that up at a gun store for $5. I'll fix that whenever. But I wanted to go over and show what I do when I get a new gun and how I check it out. And again, I think it's a Gen 3. It doesn't say anything, so I think that makes it a Gen 3. I think it's these two are the same gun, other than this one has the rounded because I've rounded it off. This one doesn't. Other than that, they're the same gun. I think I've got the Aquaman filters on here. So we'll get that out of the way. Try to clean up my work area so everybody can just see this gun right here. I know I'm working on a black background. Somebody's going to say, we can't see, Rick, it's too... Shut up! Now it's white. Good grief. Trying to be sensitive here. Black and white. Getting along. Having a good day. Let's see, I think this light's pretty bright too. Does that help? I can't tell if that helped or not. Well, that might have made it worse. No? Maybe not. Okay. I don't know if I can move this closer to get a better view. Is that better? For me to work on this? Man, it's hard for me to keep it in there. But anyway, so first we'll take the mag out. I'm not sure, my mag doesn't have this yellow stuff. So I don't know if somebody knows what that yellow stuff means. Is that new? I mean, this is a Glock mag. Does mine have the little finger grooves? Oh, mine's smooth. This one has little grooves here. Right here. And mine doesn't. This one's smooth. This one has grooves. Okay, I'm going to have to move this back just a little bit. Ooh, Rick, that gun's loaded and you moved it in front of it. Ooh, ooh, it's scary. Alright, hang on. Let me get back here a little bit. I think it's better if I can move it back a little bit. Yeah, I think that's going to be easier for me to keep it in line here. Alright, so first we'll take it apart. Taking a Glock apart, obviously check the barrel, make sure it's empty because everybody wants to pull the damn trigger on it. Let it go forward, fire the trigger, and then move it back just enough to release this pin. If you try to pull this pin now, it's too hard. But if I move this back just about that much, it releases that and it allows the slide to come off. So now I'm going to look at the inside. And again, I looked at this at the store. And the things I'm looking for is wear, chips, broken things, frame maybe malfunctions. So when I buy a Glock, those are the things I'm kind of looking for. So I'm going to pop the spring out. Pop the barrel out. Because this doesn't have a pin back here, the trigger mechanism is going to come out pretty easy. But I still need to take out these two pins. So let me punch these two pins out. pin 1 and pin 2. Then my slide stop, and then my something block. I don't know. I can't remember all the names of these. And then the trigger mechanism should pop out. And there's my trigger mechanism. So, when I'm looking at this, I can tell there's been quite a few rounds in there because that's pretty dirty. But, I mean, you can get that by using dirty ammo. So, after I pull that out, I'm going to go ahead and pop out my butt plate here by pushing down right underneath this little thing right here. There's a little plastic sheath right there where I'm pointing. I'm going to stick that in there, push down. That's going to relieve the tension on this. And I push this forward. And then when that comes off, that gives me access to my firing pin, which I don't usually pull out in the store because they get all paranoid. It looks almost new. It's pretty clean. Looks good. Then my pin that holds in the extractor, and then if I press that little button right there, that will let my extractor fall out, and then this little thing should fall out, and if it doesn't, you can either pull it out or something, and then there's my little spring. So that's pretty much a complete breakdown of the Glock. And now what I'll do is I'll give it a good squirt of oil everywhere, because then I know that if I see oil, I gotta wipe it off. And if I gotta wipe off the oil, then I know I've wiped it off and cleaned it. So my pins are there. Should have 3 pins, 1, 2, and the one that's missing is 3. Because this is a used Glock, I'm going to go ahead and pull these spring cups off. Remember I showed you how to do that on several videos. Put this in here upside down, and that'll hold it. And then you just pull this down, and your little spring cups come off. And then as those spring cups come off, your spring will come off. Then you have your firing pin inside this little sheath here, and then that sheath comes off. And now I can clean this firing pin really well and get all the parts taken down. This part right here, I want to be able to get down in here and clean inside that, so I'm going to stretch this forward, and that's going to come out, and that way I want to be able to clean in there. I usually don't take this little spring off completely, but you can. And then I'm going to polish this area right here, because this is where this rubs. So I'm going to polish this on both sides. And I'm kind of going to polish off anything that kind of touches or rubs anywhere. I'm also going to polish this little guy right here to make sure he's nice and smooth and polished. But first, I had to make sure that everything's oiled down. And then I usually use a what I do with my little cotton t-shirt, because then I can see with a white shirt how much dirt I'm getting off this sucker and how dirty was it because it's used. And then because again this is the first time I'm doing this, I really don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to get in those little corners and get that any place that in the holes. I'm going to give it a spin on any place there's a hole, and I'm going to get all that, which if I just rubbed it I wouldn't have got. And I'm going to get right in between here, way down in there, which normally isn't cleaned, and got a little bit more dirt. So this guy is pretty much done, and I can put him to the side and he's done. My pins, again, I'm going to use a white shirt here, and I'm going to spin them because I've already put them down with the oil, and I'm going to see what my thing looks like. That's not too bad. I didn't get a bunch of dirt off that, which is a good thing. Again, these are used, so I'm going to put this pin here. Now when you're doing this pin, a lot of people miss the little grooves. I want to stick my fingernail in that groove when I spin it. You see all that dirt that comes out of there? I'm going to stick my fingernail, just pushing through the cotton, right in that little groove there, and then spin that. And see that dirt that comes out of there? So, again, I'm kind of a fanatic when I clean my guns. So, some people be like, man, that little dirt ain't going to hurt nothing. It's not about hurting nothing. I want my gun as free of dirt and clean to where oil can get on it. I'm not going to have rust, and I'm lessening the chance of a malfunction caused by dirt. Because I don't know when, if ever, this gun may have to be in a crisis, and you know, I'm stuck with firing 500 rounds through it without cleaning it, or I drop it in the water, and because there's not oil on it and there was dirt, then the water sticks to that dirt and makes a mush or a mud. So first time cleaning it, I really want to make sure, and I don't do this type of cleaning on every gun because I might want to move that up just a little bit because I'm getting out of camera here. I want to move over here. So that one's good. You notice my little Q-tip's getting dirty? Well, I want to know how much dirt I'm getting, so I'm switching to a clean side. Getting some dirt off there. And again, if I went through I always want to get that little groove right there good, because that's what hooks onto the bullet. And when that gets full of carbon and powder, you're going to have a failure to extract. So I always want to make sure that's good and clean. If you get buildup on there, it can weaken and put undue pressures. I don't think it's going to break it. I've never seen an extractor break on a Glock, but it could. Like I said, I over clean my gun a lot more than worse. But now see, this Q-tip is really stinking dirty just from this one piece. That was a clean Q-tip. So that tells me I need to give him a good squirt down. Let him set for a minute. We'll do him again. Because that was, the extractor had pretty good dirt on it. So this is my little pin that holds the extractor. There's not a lot of polishing on this. I'll go ahead and pull that spring off so I can get good on that tip. You can tell I got a little bit of dirt there on that tip because most people don't pull that off. Is that going to hurt? Probably not. Then I'm going to put that right back on there. And now this one's pretty much done. I'm going to set that over there. My locking block, or whatever you want to call it. I know there's some Glock guru out there. Dude, you should know what that is. Your Glock Armory. That's the concealed block of the titanium corner of the world holding whatever. So you notice my rag's getting a little bit dirty here, but it's not real dirty. See, I have no idea when I buy a used gun how many times it's been fired, how many times it's been cleaned, how well it was cleaned. Those were really dirty, and those little pinholes. So I'm going to go ahead and get a pipe cleaner and really kind of just run that through there with some oil. There's a couple little grooves right there. I'm going to go ahead and clean them up. And I'm looking for, right here, it looks like there's a little dirt right there. Because it didn't come off, that tells me that's a polish mark or a polish head. And when I put my Dremel on there, I'm going to polish that up and that'll be gone. Okay, so that one's pretty much clean. This little guy, a lot of people don't like to pull this spring out because it sticks in there, and if you pull it out, a lot of times people can't get it back in there. But when you pull it out, it's a little click in there. I like to clean it in there, and when you put it back in, it'll fall out and it won't stay in. But if you put it on a hard surface, right here on the top of the slide, and you press it all the way down, it makes it connect and it'll click in there. So all you got to do is push it all the way in on something hard so it doesn't bend it straight down, and you'll hear it click in there. But I'm going to take it out again because I didn't really clean in there. And again, I don't do this every time, but because I don't know how much this gun has been fired, abused, I want to make sure I get in every little crevice really good. Then a lot of people don't clean this area right here on this pin. You really want to make sure and get that sucker clean. And you can tell that got pretty dark there. Up top around it and at the bottom. And now I'm going to Dremel this part because that's the part that hits the firing pin and it's a release. So if I fill that, it just feels a little rough to me. It's not real smooth. I can take some 1000 grit sandpaper and just polish that up, but I'm going to put some flits on there. Even that little bit just smoothed it up to where I can feel it. I'm just spinning that on this 1000 grit here. And it's smoother. So, but I'm going to put a Dremel on there anyway. So we'll put that over there. What happened to the little spring? Ricky lost a spring in that. It's right here. Alright, so it's over there. If I really want to clean this spring, I'll run a pipe cleaner right down the middle of it on any spring I got. And then that way I know on the inside it's nice and clean. I've wiped out the inside of a spring. Moving right along, these two little cups that hold the spring, normally they're not dirty, but I still like to give them a little cleaning to make sure, because I don't want anything in there that's going to mess it up. So these retaining spring cups, these are the ones you replace if you want the Aquaman gun with the blue ones. Those are pretty much done. I'm going to drop them over there. This was my spring that was around the firing pin. I'm going to go ahead and put some oil in there, run a pipe cleaner down the middle of that. Again, to get the inside. And then I can spin this spring around while I'm sliding this pipe cleaner inside. Now I know I got all the dirt on the inside. I'll take a clean part of my rag here and just roll that around on the outside of that spring and see if I get any dirt. Till I got a little dirt, not a lot. So now that spring's done, my firing pin, right in that little groove that's always punching out and hitting your primer, you always want to make sure I'm going to use a clean because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get dirt off there. I always do. I'm going to get right in those little cracks and put my fingernail right in there and just rub that back and forth, and you can tell I got that dirt that you probably wouldn't see, but I want my firing pin clean. Again, this is the only time when I buy a used gun that I really go through this. I'll go this detail if someone brings a gun over and goes, hey man, I've had this gun, I've never cleaned it, I don't know how to take it apart. Then I would go through this. Okay, so that's going back over there. What else we got the hell over here? That's the end cap that goes right here. Not a whole lot of cleaning on this. You want to make sure the groove's nice and clean. It's got two little metal retaining where it hangs there, and then on the inside. And I usually just take a Q-tip on that and make sure, and I got some pretty good dirt out of there. Let me get you a new Q-tip here so you can kind of see what kind of dirt I'm getting off here. Not a lot now because I already got some off. Getting these grooves here. Getting this groove over here. Got a little bit of darkness. Make sure these metal things are nice and clean. I've seen these rust because people don't clean these when you take this off. Make sure and oil those little pieces right there. Okay, so now the end cap's gone. This right here, because it's the first time, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And I forgot the term of that. It's the one that you, when you replace it. And I just put a little behind there, and it's got to come out right here at the bottom. So if I twist this screwdriver like so, it pops it right out. And now I'll give that a good cleaning on both sides. But this is one of the parts I'm going to polish. There's some dirt that I would have missed. Okay. So this area, you can tell the marking. That's from this piece right here rubbing on that, and it's creating these marks, which tells me either this isn't flat and smooth or this isn't flat and smooth. So I'm going to be polishing both those edges, so this will be nice and smooth right here, and it'll smooth up my trigger. When you pull the trigger, it kind of goes down like that at an angle. So I want that polish really good and this polish very good because they're going to meet. Alrighty, and then this little piece, your ejector. Your extractor pulls the bullet back, and it hits that, which pushes the bullet out and ejects it. I'm going to stick a clean Q-tip down there where a lot of people don't get, and it's usually pretty dirty. Any holes, because this is the first and only time, I'll go ahead and put a pipe cleaner through the holes. Q-tip won't go through. So that was just this piece on this Q-tip. So this piece is good. And now my trigger mechanism, a lot of people rarely take this out. I can see the goop right there just kind of building up. Let me get me a good clean Q-tip there and get that out of there. Right there. Really, really caked up and dirty. See, that oil is sitting there and it made it come off nice and easy. But this trigger had not been apart with the rounds that it had fired. And that's what I'm getting off here. And again, I'm going to put a Dremel to this and polish it. So I'm not too concerned about how clean this is, because once I Dremel it, I'm going to re-clean it. This is just an initial. And cleaning your gun this way gives you a good inspection on what it's supposed to look like. If you do this all the time and give it a good cleaning, you're going to notice when things are out of line and say, that looks funny. You know, that looks a little bent. That looks a little off. That wasn't there before. Man, that nick wasn't there. Where's this scratch coming from? Something's happening because there's a new scratch here that wasn't here. So you'll see those things. Now, I know somebody's going to say, Rick, you should have been more prepared. Well, yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I wasn't. Where the hell's my damn little patchy thingies? I hate when I can't find my patchy things. I got some little ones. Oh, here we go. So let's, I usually use a couple of 38s to go through my 45s. So if I can find this one. This is a dirty one that I already used. So I'm just going to run this down the barrel the first time. See how much dirtier it gets. And so if you push all the way out, when you pull back down, it will use the other side. But if you don't come all the way out, if you go just to where it's about to come out and then put your fingers right here, your fingers become a guide. So I can shove this in, and when my fingers hit here, I know I'm just far enough to pull back, and it stays to where my cotton swab is staying in the same area. Now if I want to go through and use the other side, I can go all the way out and come back through. All the way out and come back through. But I'm going to clean this side where the shell sits. You can tell this thing got a lot darker. But if you look down the barrel, I'm sure, I don't know if you can, if the light's going to shine in there. I can't tell on this, but it's not where I want it to be, but it's a start. So, and that's pretty much it. Now, I haven't really cleaned this spring here. Now, if I press this spring, you'll notice this comes out right here, and that's not cleaned a whole bunch. So I'm going to squirt that down, and then when I push it down, I'm going to put a Q-tip on it and see how dirty it is. Not too bad. So that was the internal part of the spring, and now I'm going to run this this rag around this spring and see if I get some more dirt, which I did. Not a lot. Sometimes I just wrap this like so and twist it and then I know it gets in between the grooves of springs. And that got a little bit more dirt. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around the bigger area and spin that. Alrighty. So that little spring's done. Big area neglect on Glocks is nobody wants to clean this port because there's all this rumors that you can't put oil down there, you're not supposed to put... Whatever. Come on, people. The only way to get that crap... Let me get a clean Q-tip. Because these things, I mean, these are usually the dirtiest things that I clean on a Glock because nobody gets in there and nobody wants to put oil in there. So the Q-tip looks like this every time it comes out of a Glock. And I'm like, dude, that's nasty. That's a critical area, and it's very tight and small. That's where the water and oil gets caught up when your gun doesn't fire underwater or if liquid gets in there. So I know there's going to be people, well, the Glock manual or Glock instructor or somebody said you never put oil. I don't, whatever. Clean it out. You can put oil in places they say don't put oil. When they say don't put oil, they don't want oil sitting in there collecting dirt. You can still use oil to clean it. This is another area that usually gets neglected where that butt plate goes in, is right around that edge. And the little bitty hole where that spring goes, where this little guy drops down right in there, that's a critical area that a lot of people don't clean. And again, pipe cleaner will go fit right down in there, and it'll come out right here. And I just run that back and forth in there. And I usually find all kind of crap in that hole. And then of course on my rails, because I can't get in there, I usually fold a pipe cleaner and I just put it inside that rail. And I go back and forth. And I usually get a lot of dirt on that by putting that pipe cleaner in and out of there. And that usually gets pretty stinking black and dirty. Again, these are areas that people don't clean. And normally I don't have to do this because I clean my gun so well that it's usually not dirty. See how dark and black that is? I'm going to go ahead and put some oil on that. Let that set. And we'll run that down there again. And now I'm just going to wipe it with a nice clean rag. This piece right here, usually get a lot of dirt. In between each side of that, get a lot of dirt. Inside the rail, a lot of dirt. And then each side of this, a lot of dirt. And then this face right here, which nobody ever cleans, where the firing pin comes out, should be nice and clean. And you can see that it's got a lot of dirt off there. Alrighty. And then of course I'm going to take a clean spot here and just do the outside to see if there's any rust or anything coming off. Because of the oil. You see how I discolored that rag? It's a little surface rust coming off. Because it's been sitting and handled. Get another clean spot for the other side. So it's clean. So now I'm removing, because I oiled it down first and let it set, I'm removing that little discoloration. Getting these grooves, which nobody ever gets. Sometimes I'll take a Q-tip with a lot of oil and do each groove, because nobody ever cleans the grooves. And because this is a new gun, I want to get all that brown and rust stuff off. Remember, I already sprayed this down once with oil. I'm going to go ahead and use a clean Q-tip for you to show you just those little grooves on a neglected area on any gun with a groove, not just Glocks. Hanging on, hanging on. I don't know if you guys can hear my music. I have it down low, so any corners. So that got off the grooves. I'll go behind the grooves here. Then in between there. both sides of the front sight, and then get a clean point on my rag here and do the top of the slide like I did the bottom or the sides. See if I get any rust off this top of the slide. And look at all that. Look clean. The interior of this circle here, a lot of people don't clean that. I'm going to use a clean Q-tip and just go around this circle where the barrel is. This is a high collection point for dirt because the barrel's right there. So I want to get those corners really good where that barrel comes in and out because it's shooting back and forth. This one isn't actually too bad. And where this spring sets right here, I want to make sure I get a good circle Q-tip in there. Look how dirty that sucker was. Woo! Man, I got a lot more dirt off that one than I would have liked. Woo! Okay, so that was a good cleaning. And then I usually take a Q-tip on both sides of this face where the round sits against, and I'll usually get some. Inside the little hole where the spring goes, I really want to get a good Q-tip in there and on a side here. And that's pretty freaking dirty. Get another patch here. Get a little squirt of oil in there. Rick, you're using too much oil. I was always told to. Shut up, you big dummies. You're cleaning and I'm wiping this oil off. I want good collection. I want this oil to start disintegrating some of the old crusty dirt that's been in here for I don't know how long. Look at that. Woo, doggies. That's a lot of dirt. Woo, that's a dirty gun. That's, let me get a little bit more. That's a healthy colon. That's the sign of a healthy colon. Alrighty. And I put some more oil in that track there to get more dirt off that. Oh yeah, that's some good dirt. I like being able to use something very white on a gun after I've cleaned it, and I should be able to wipe that gun down and not find anything black on my rag. Alright, so the slide's done, this little guy's done, that's done, spring. I cleaned out the outside of the boat. I did not do the barrel. Let me get another clean Q-tip here. This crack right here where the slide catches, a lot of people neglect that. A lot of times I'll get some good dirt, not a lot. There's two rails right here, and right here. Neglected. Anytime you have those little rails and grooves, you've got to get something good. You just can't really do it. This Q-tip gets in there and I can put a lot of pressure. Where your spring sits right here. A lot of people don't do anything to where that spring catches. Usually get black out of there, and then right behind here where the barrel locks on that locking nug. A lot of people don't clean that. Alrighty. So this is done, except I didn't clean it like I did the slide to see if there's any outside rust. Clean rag, and I'm just going to really get a lot of pressure on this rag. And it was clean, and this was oiled, and it sat there and oiled while I was cleaning and explaining all this, and got a little dirt and rust off it. Do this, do the sides, where the serial number's at. Ooh, that's a pretty shine. Look at that pretty Glock. Ooh, doggies, that's a clean gun. And that's what I got off that, just the barrel. Alright, and then once the barrel's done, I'm going to go ahead and wipe all this down. Same thing. I want to get in these small areas right underneath the rail, because that's where dirt collects, underneath these rails, because these are the rails that run into gun rails. So if your gun rails are dirty, these are going to be dirty. That's really going to smooth it up. If you want to make sure and get some oil right in those rails, usually I put oil like that when I put it back together. But for cleaning purposes, to make sure that it kind of loosens anything up, I put some oil in there. Look how black that is. Man, it's dirty. Man, if this was my gun and I got that much dirt, I'd be like, oh my God, I neglected my Glock. Now, I didn't take this pin out. If I want to take this pin out, I might as well just show you guys. There's a little bitty spring right here that you push down on, and it allows this to fall out. So I'm just going to put on this little silver spring right there, I'm going to push in, just like so. And it's going to take the tension off this, and it's going to fall out. Damn, that shit worked, and I was on video. Nothing ever works. So this is your retaining pin. Again, I usually don't pull this out, but again, I don't have this gun. I use a clean part of the rag. And I got a little bit of dirt, not a lot. And to put that back in, that little bitty spring right here, I don't know if you can see it. Look, watch right here. And when I push down, see that spring going in and out? That's what tension holds this and keeps it from falling out. Because that little spring that I'm pushing down goes right into this little groove right here. There's a little groove. And that's where that little spring goes. So I'm going to put this in just enough to where I can still push this spring down and then slide it all the way in. And then it'll pop right in there. And if I push down on it, trying to give different angles here, it should go right in. So now I'm just going to take a clean part of my rag and let's do this well right here that I've been sitting in oil. See how dirty it is? Not too bad. Getting this magazine weld, this is usually where more dirt's at. Right in this area, because this is where the bullet explodes, goes in a barrel, etc. So I normally get a whole bunch of dirt in this area. And I'm going to go ahead and clean that magazine well nice. And you can tell I got some pretty good dirt out of here. This doesn't have a Glock plug. I put Glock plugs in all my Glocks. So I'm going to be ordering a Glock plug for that and put it in there. Mine probably already has it. You can tell it's got a Glock plug. This one does not have a plug. The only reason the plug does, it stops dirt and crap from going in there. So when you clean this out, you usually get a lot of fuzz and lint, especially if you carry the gun either under a shirt or as a duty gun on your belt or on your ankle. Man, the lint and everything gets in there, it gets really dirty. Doesn't go too bad. It comes out right here where your trigger mechanism is at. So basically it's a dirt magnet hole that allows you to get to this trigger mechanism that fits in there. So is it critical? That's not the end of the world, but I just like cleaning it out. And again, really, really dirty right there. Woo, man, I should have used a clean Q-tip for that area, because there was a lot of dirt in there. That was horrible. Man, still a lot of dirt. And when I'm cleaning this, I'm putting a lot of pressure because of this Q-tip. I can spin it. It fits in the corners and cracks and crevices and really gives me a good cleaning. So I go through a lot of Q-tip. You can get Q-tips at 98-cent store, or you can get the name brand Q-tips, whatever you want, whatever you like using. But I usually go through a lot of Q-tips. When I see somebody cleaning a gun and they're not using Q-tips, I'm thinking the gun's not getting a very good cleaning. Because if you give me that gun after you clean it and I put a Q-tip to it, my Q-tip's going to be dirty when it comes out. I can guarantee it. Really dirty. I got the pinholes. Remember, any pinholes, first time cleaning, I want to make sure it's good and clean. And this kind of has oil on it already, so I'm not oiling it. Plus, I put oil in a gun. So I want those pretty clean. I'm still getting a lot of dirt off that sucker. A little more than I would like to be seeing. I like when I get a used gun and I clean it and there's not a lot of dirt. Okay. I know some of you don't care, or you've seen me do this maybe a couple times. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and I'll come back and I'll do my Dremel polishing, and I'll round this off to where it looks like this, and we'll put this sucker back together. So we'll end that there.